Now we start this hour with Israel. Explosions rock Doha and Manama as Gulf countries face a new wave of Iranian drone and missile attacks. These attacks come as a retaliation against the US-Israeli airstrikes against Iran. The region remains on edge with air defenses activated and civilian infrastructures damaged. Meanwhile, the Spanish foreign minister has pushed back against reports that Spain has changed its position on allowing U.S. military use of its bases in the region. Jose Manuel Alvarez has insisted that there has been no shift in Spanish policy regarding the war or U.S. base use. Iran, however, has expressed gratitude towards Spain, praising the country for what it calls its responsible conduct in the opposing war. Now we welcome Mr. Peter Baum. He's an editor at Weekly Blitz, joins us live from London. Thank you very much,
Hello.
Mr. Baum, for joining us. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Baum, now how do you analyze, European countries or Australia and UK letting the support or supporting these allies like US and Israel to use their bases or to send more troops for them? And do you think that it can lead to a more sensitive relationship between those countries and the current countries that are being attacked by Iran in the GCC region?
Okay, so we're
Yes.
now 5 days into this conflict, and it must be said that at the very beginning of the conflict, there were various European nations that were, including the United Kingdom, that were not fully on side with the Trump administration. They were very lukewarm in offering full support right at the outset, and that was clearly disheartening to the Americans. Trump put it in very strong language. Now we're at the stage where there is, to my knowledge, only one European nation that has come out categorically against the Trump and the rest of Europe, and that's Spain, who are governed by I would say, a rabidly left-wing, virtually communist globalist in the form of Sanchez, and he is definitely isolated on the let's say the Western stage, so much so that Iran are actually thanking Spain for their position in this conflict. Ireland, whose military abilities don't matter anyway, but politically, as you know, they're part of the EU, have also been very lukewarm. But all the other allies now, including, I guess, a reluctant Australia, perhaps even a reluctant Canada, are now supporting what seem to be supporting politically what Trump is doing. Even France is now offering military support, so is the United Kingdom. So I don't think there's any fracture amongst Western allies apart from Spain, who I think economically will pay the price when this conflict is finished.
And building on that, so Mr. Baum, how do you think, Arab countries which thought that their relationship with West is warming up is seeing this cooperation, because they also need help, they also need aid, they also need defenses. For now, I think they're only solely dependent on themselves for their defense.
Okay, the Arab world, I would say the Muslim Arab world,
Yes.
I think has been quite shocked about what Iran has done. Now, clearly, Israel and America, as we saw in the war in June, have allies in Jordan, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. Jordan and Saudi letting the US and Israel use their airspace, which I'm sure they've done this time round. What has shocked those Arab nations that were more would facilitate Iran, such as Oman, Qatar, to some extent Bahrain and Kuwait, have been absolutely shocked by the behavior of the Iranians in attacking them. Now, there is a method to the Iranian madness, which unfortunately has not paid off. Their method was that if they could create havoc amongst the oil markets, which they have done short term, then the American public would, seeing gas and energy price rises, which they have done, the Iranians considered that this would bring the conflict to a very short end. But in fact, it hasn't, and it won't, because the impact has been, what should we say, negative for the oil markets, of course, but the price of gasoline and oil in the States was quite low anyway. So I think the Americans economically will be able to wear this. We'll see energy prices go up in Europe, and if they continue to go up, then the conflict is becoming increasingly unpopular. But for the moment, I think the Americans and the Israelis will be able to bring this war to a fairly swift conclusion, and I don't think the economic impact will be as devastating on the world markets as the Iranians had hoped for when they started attacking the United Arab Emirates and the Gulf and the energy-producing nations in the Gulf.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baum, for sharing that. Please do stay with us as we stay on the region. Now, according to reports, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claims to have struck an American oil tanker in the northern Persian Gulf after